Welcome, seekers of wisdom, to another journey into the art of power. I'm Mr. TomTom from Psychiant, Learn Psychology, and today we explore Volume 16 of our podcast series, The 48 Laws of Power. History is littered with tales of victors who secured dominance not by mercy, but by decisive annihilation. From Julius Caesar's conquest of Gaul to modern corporate giants swallowing competitors, true power often demands the total defeat of adversaries. In Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, Law 15, Crush Your Enemy Totally, teaches us that half measures invite retaliation. Through psychological insights, philosophical reflections, and practical strategies, we'll uncover why this law resonates with human nature, how to apply it ethically, and its relevance in today's complex world. Let's delve into the uncompromising logic of victory. For those new to our series, we dissect Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, a timeless guide to strategic mastery. In Volume 15, we explored Law 14, Pose as a Friend, Work as a Spy, revealing the subtle art of gathering intelligence through trust. Now, in Volume 16, we confront a law that is both ruthless and pragmatic. Crush your enemy totally. This law asserts that leaving an enemy weakened but alive risks their resurgence, threatening your power. While its tone may seem harsh, it reflects a profound truth about human conflict and competition. Psychologically, it taps into our instincts for survival. Philosophically, it raises questions about justice and morality. Through a blend of empirical research, philosophical inquiry, and actionable advice, we'll examine how to wield this law in professional, social, and personal arenas without sacrificing ethics. Join us as we navigate the delicate balance between strength and compassion. To grasp Law 15, we must first explore its psychological roots. Human behavior is shaped by evolutionary imperatives, particularly the drive to secure resources and status. Evolutionary psychology posits that our ancestors survived by eliminating threats, whether predators or rival tribes. This instinct persists in modern competition, where perceived enemies, be they workplace rivals or social adversaries, trigger a primal urge to neutralize them. Law 15 leverages this by advocating total victory, ensuring no future threat emerges. From a social psychology perspective, Law 15 aligns with social dominance theory, which suggests humans organize into hierarchies to reduce conflict. Dominating an enemy completely reinforces one's position at the top, deterring others from challenging authority. Studies on group dynamics, such as those by John Levine and Richard Morland, show that groups often ostracize or eliminate members who threaten cohesion, mirroring Law 15's logic. In organizational settings, for instance, a manager might sideline a disruptive employee to maintain team stability, ensuring their influence is nullified. The law also engages the psychology of fear and deterrence. Behavioral research, including B.F. Skinner's work on operant conditioning, demonstrates that punishment deters future aggression. By crushing an enemy, one sends a signal to others, reducing the likelihood of challenges. This is evident in historical examples like Genghis Khan, who annihilated opposing tribes to instill fear, securing loyalty through intimidation. Psychologically, this taps into the loss aversion principle. People are more motivated to avoid losses, e.g. defeat, than to pursue gains, making Law 15 a powerful deterrent. However, Law 15 has psychological costs. Cognitive dissonance arises when one's actions, destroying an enemy, conflict with values like fairness or empathy. Research by Leon Festinger shows that such dissonance can lead to guilt or rationalization, potentially undermining mental health. Moreover, the empathy gap, our tendency to underestimate others' suffering, can make crushing an enemy feel justified in the moment, but lead to regret later. Neuropsychologically, acts of aggression activate the amygdala, heightening arousal but clouding judgment. This explains why Law 15, while effective, must be wielded with restraint. The law also exploits the bystander effect in social settings. When an enemy is decisively defeated, others are less likely to intervene, as they perceive the victor's dominance as unassailable. This dynamic is seen in corporate takeovers, where a company's collapse discourages competitors from entering the market. Yet, overuse of Law 15 can trigger the boomerang effect, where excessive aggression breeds resentment, rallying others against the victor. Social identity theory suggests that crushing an outgroup can strengthen in-group loyalty, but risks long-term alienation. In summary, Law 15 is rooted in our evolutionary drive to eliminate threats, reinforced by social hierarchies, fear-based deterrence, and cognitive biases. However, its psychological toll and potential backlash demand careful application, which we'll explore through a philosophical lens next. Philosophically, Law 15 confronts us with the ethics of power and the morality of destruction. Thomas Hobbes, in Leviathan, argued that humans in a state of nature are driven by self-preservation, justifying extreme measures to secure safety. Law 15 embodies this realist view, treating enemies as existential threats that must be eradicated to ensure stability. For Hobbes, crushing an enemy is not cruelty, but necessity, aligning with Greene's pragmatic approach. Contrastingly, Aristotelian ethics, rooted in virtue, challenges Law 15. Aristotle advocated for eudaimonia, flourishing through balanced virtues like justice and magnanimity. Crushing an enemy, especially unnecessarily, violates justice, as it prioritizes personal gain over fairness. Aristotle might argue that true power lies in winning an enemy's loyalty, not their destruction, as this fosters long-term harmony. This perspective critiques Law 15's absolutism, suggesting moderation as a wiser path. Immanuel Kant's deontological ethics further complicates the law. Kant's categorical imperative demands that actions be universalizable. If everyone crushed their enemies, society would descend into chaos, eroding trust and cooperation. Kant would view Law 15 as treating others as means to an end, neutralizing threats, rather than respecting their inherent dignity. This raises a moral dilemma. When is total victory justified? Utilitarianism, as articulated by Jeremy Bentham, offers a consequentialist lens. The morality of crushing an enemy depends on its outcomes. If it prevents greater harm, say neutralizing a tyrant, it may be defensible. However, if it serves only personal ambition, it risks collective harm, as resentment festers. Historical examples, like the Treaty of Versailles' harsh terms on Germany, illustrate how crushing an enemy can backfire, sowing seeds for future conflict. Eastern philosophy provides additional nuance. Sun Tzu's The Art of War advocates strategic victory, often without physical destruction. Sun Tzu suggests that the greatest triumph is to subdue the enemy without fighting, implying that Law 15's extremism may be unnecessary. Conversely, Taoist thought, as in the Tao Te Ching, warns against excessive force, as it disrupts natural harmony. Crushing an enemy may yield short-term gain, but upset long-term balance. Existentialist Jean-Paul Sartre's concept of freedom also applies. By crushing an enemy, one asserts their freedom to shape their reality, but this act binds them to a cycle of conflict, limiting future choices. Sartre might argue that Law 15, while empowering, risks enslaving the victor to their own aggression. Philosophically, Law 15 forces us to weigh pragmatism against virtue, necessity against morality. It reflects a world where survival often demands harsh choices, yet it challenges us to seek alternatives that preserve humanity. Next, we'll explore how to apply this law practically. Law 15's intensity requires careful application to avoid ethical pitfalls. Here are practical ethical tips for wielding it. 1. Define enemy clearly. Not every rival is a true enemy. Identify those who pose a genuine, persistent threat to your goals. For example, in a workplace, an enemy might be a colleague who actively undermines your projects. Clarity prevents overreach, aligning with ethical decision-making models that emphasize proportionality. 2. Neutralize, don't destroy. Crushing doesn't always mean personal ruin. Focus on neutralizing their influence. G. Outmaneuvering a competitor's strategy or securing a key alliance. Organizational psychology suggests that redirecting a rival's efforts, e.g., assigning them to a different project, can achieve the same effect without malice. 3. Leverage institutional power. Use legitimate systems to your advantage. In a corporate setting, document a rival's missteps and present them to leadership, ensuring their influence wanes. This aligns with procedural justice, maintaining fairness while achieving your goal. 4. Build a coalition. Strengthen your position by rallying allies. Social network theory shows that strong alliances deter challenges. For instance, in a community dispute, gaining neighbors' support can marginalize a troublemaker without direct confrontation. 5. Act decisively but discreetly. When action is necessary, be thorough but subtle. Publicly humiliating an enemy can backfire. As social psychology's reactance theory suggests, people resist perceived injustice. Instead, quietly secure your victory. G. Outperforming a rival in a key metric. 7. Offer a path to redemption. If possible, leave room for reconciliation. Game theory's tit-for-tat strategy shows that cooperation after conflict can prevent future enmity. For example, after outbidding a competitor, offer a partnership to mitigate resentment. 8. Reflect on long-term consequences. Before acting, consider the fallout. Will crushing this enemy alienate others? Decision-making frameworks like SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, can guide ethical choices, ensuring your actions align with long-term goals. These tips balance Law 15's ruthlessness with ethical restraint, allowing strategic victory without moral compromise. Law 15 can be applied ethically in various contexts. Here's how to integrate it into daily life. 1. In the workplace. Suppose a colleague consistently takes credit for your work, threatening your career. Apply Law 15 by documenting your contributions and presenting them to your manager, ensuring your colleague's influence is curtailed. Then, propose a clear division of responsibilities, neutralizing their ability to encroach. This aligns with organizational behavior research on proactive coping, which emphasizes preemptive action to manage threats. 2. In social settings. At a community event, a rival spreads misinformation to undermine your reputation. Neutralize them by calmly correcting the record in public, backed by evidence, and rallying supporters to amplify your credibility. Social capital theory suggests that strong networks can marginalize detractors, achieving Law 15's goal without personal attacks. 3. In personal relationships. In a family dispute, a relative's manipulative behavior disrupts harmony. Crush their influence by uniting other family members around a shared goal, like organizing a gathering, and assigning the relative a minor role. Attachment theory supports this, reinforcing group cohesion sidelines disruptors while maintaining relationships. 4. In negotiations. During a business deal, a competitor undercuts your offer. Crush their advantage by presenting a superior proposal, backed by data, and securing exclusive terms with the client. Negotiation research highlights competitive positioning. Outperforming rivals decisively ensures dominance without unethical tactics. Always prioritize proportionality. If a rival's threat is minor, escalation may be unwarranted. For example, if a coworker's gossip is harmless, redirect their focus rather than seeking their downfall. Utilitarian ethics supports this. Action should maximize collective well-being, not just personal gain. By applying Law 15 strategically, you secure your position while fostering stability. It's about decisive action, not cruelty, ensuring threats are neutralized without unnecessary harm. Law 15, crush your enemy. Totally reveals the stark realities of power. Psychologically, it taps into our survival instincts. Philosophically, it challenges our moral compass. Applied ethically, it empowers us to neutralize threats while preserving integrity. I'm Mr. TomTom from Psychiant. Learn psychology. Subscribe for Volume 17, where we'll tackle Law 16. Share your thoughts below. How have you managed rivals strategically? Visit Psychiant.com for exclusive content. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay ethical.